When you think of Hellraiser, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Images of death, destruction, torture. But is it ever Henry Cavill? Did you know that way back in 2005, when Henry Cavill was but a whippersnapper, he starred in one of the worst Hellraiser movies ever made?
This is where the shit hits the fan, guys.
A movie that got a whopping 0% on Rotten Tomatoes when it dropped, but what is interesting is that in spite of its terrible reception, it had an amazing cast. A young Henry Cavill who went on to be Superman. Catherine Winnick is in it, who played Lagatha in Vikings. You have Kerry Payton, the guy who went on to play Ezekiel in The Walking Dead. And you even have Lance Henriksen.
Welcome, Hellraisers.
The cast, it was stacked up. Thankfully, in spite of how bad this movie done, all of these young actors went on to bigger and brighter pastures, proving the age-old adage that if you're good looking enough, you can overcome anything. Now it's time to look at the movie in question. Hellraiser Hellworld really rolls off the tongue. A movie with an intense introduction. A man digging a hole. And it hard cuts from this to a funeral.
Can't believe this is happening.
I wish you could see his face just one last time.
As far as intros go, I think it's pretty decent. A wee bit melodramatic, as is a flaw of this movie, but it pulls the viewer in. There's a man suffering in the beginning, screaming into the camera, hard cut to his funeral, his motley crew of friends are hanging about, and there's tension in the air.
How you holding up, Jake?
I'm just great, Mike. I feel so much better now that you guys are here.
What precedes is a bit of very direct and on-the-nose exposition dumping, which is something the movie doesn't seem to be able to figure out, is how to portray information without having Henry Cavill look down the mic, wink at you, and tell you the plot beat for beat.
Where's Adam's family?
His mom found him. I doubt she'll be going anywhere for a while.
What about his dad?
South America, South Africa, I can never remember which.
I guess we're the closest thing he has to family here.
Christ. How many times you had to tell a guy it's just a stupid game?
Hey, we were all addicted to Hellworld, man.
He's right, Mike.
You should have seen this coming.
But we didn't.
Whoa, spooky. There is a game in this universe based on the Hellraiser films, and these guys are all obsessed with it, or were obsessed with it, until their friend died. And they never specify whether or not these characters are actually supposed to be in the Hellraiser film world, and there's just like a fucking Cenobite franchise, you know, Pinhead's just trying to expand the family business, or if this is supposed to be the real world, and they are consuming material based on the fictional Hellraiser movies.
Hey, we were all addicted to Hellworld, man.
It never goes into any detail about that, and I don't know if that's just trying to seed some mystery around the plot, or if they just didn't know themselves what route to go down. But for now, Chelsea has a little mentee bee and decides to go and open up the casket, clearly not understanding why this was a closed coffin ceremony. Little bro's cooked. If they wanted to be open casket, it would be open. There's a reason they leave them closed in some cases. Bro looks like a deep fried ball bag, and he ain't quite ready to enter the pearly gates just yet. Two years later, and the whole group moves on. The guy's buried, the group of friends stay together, but there's lingering questions about what this guy done to himself and why. But there's a knock at the door. It's a Cenobite, the chittery chattery one that clicks his little teethy weethy.
What's up, Mike?
What?
I made her grab $100 for this thing on the internet.
Just joking, it's McDreamboat, Henry Cavill. Look, I don't have much to say about the intro, admittedly. It's just generic kind of teen slop. It's like if American Pie was trying to be a horror movie. What is interesting is the MMO game aspect, which they elaborate on now, because through this game, by solving a puzzle, aka opening the box, they all get invitations to a massive party happening out in the countryside. And I want to look at this game because it's questionable. As a professional gamer, believe me, it's questionable.
Go through the door.
I can't believe it, the box!
Oh, come on, open it.
I'm trying.
Oh, Allison, you're all herky-jerky here. Come here, you gotta finesse it.
This is the world-renowned MMORPG in the movie's own description. MMORPG. Let that sink in. A circle with a few moving images. That ain't an MMORPG. This came out in 2005. Gaming was already miles ahead. This isn't like a 1995 game where fucking graphical interfaces were just being invented. What the fuck is that?
Allison, you're all herky-jerky.
Take Stay Alive, for example. That is a horror movie where you play a video game, and if you die in the video game, you die in real life. And that had a rudimentary 3D representation of the horror.
You must stay alive.
That came out 1 year after this movie. It is so poorly done. And he got Matey Boy dancing around behind, geeking out. Like, no one acts like that. It was like a Division presentation.
Whoa, it's another group of players. Brace for PvP.
Aside from all of that, there is a huge disparity at the beginning of this plot between the years prior where a man killed himself because of this MMORPG addiction and the game in general, and them all seeing kind of distraught about it and implying that it's destroyed their group.
We were all addicted to Hellworld, man.
He's right, Mike.
You should have seen this coming.
And then hard cut to years later, and they're all still playing it and obsessed with it in the same kind of way, going to a party themed around it. There is a big disparity, but I suppose you could argue it's fucking symbolism for the addiction of MMOs, right? Maybe this is the most realistic depiction of like a WoW addiction in cinema history.
This is like Space Voyage convention crap.
There is a major difference between space voyages and Hellraisers.
Reality check, we should have grown out of this by now.
Reality check. We're going.
That shit is corny as a motherfucker. It's got a very kind of Disney feel to the dialogue, doesn't it? Not to mention the disrespect that this gal,
Reality check.
she's allowed to keep her English accent, but my boy Henry Cavill has to put on a fake American jock tone.
I paid a grip $100 for this thing on the internet.
The fuck is that about? That's discrimination against the Cavills, I'm afraid. Without taking much convincing, eventually Chelsea agrees to go with the ragtag group to this party in typical cringy fashion.
How'd it feel playing again?
Just like any other ultra-violent, 24-hour, widely popular, and yet utterly purposeless, embraced by the masses internet role-playing game.
Oh, right, Pinhead Jr.
Context, come and get your context, folks. Here's some context on the game. What even is the game? I'm sorry, I'm coming back to it already. None of what she just described fits even remotely in the realm of the game that they showed us. Regardless, they pull up at the party in this massive mansion with all the crew hanging outside as the youth turn up.
Hang on. Charles, are you coming or what?
Entering the mansion, Hellworld party is in full swing. It's decorated with memorabilia to the Hellraiser series, there's people everywhere, and just as they're getting into the swing of things, the old twink from the intro pulls up.
So, what have you been up to, Jake?
Trying to forget the past.
Buzzkill! Get a load of this fucking loser. Talk about killing the vibe. Needless to say, he's still hung up about the past. You see, Adam was obsessed with this Hellworld game, and through his obsession, he ended up taking his own life, thinking that it was part of this cultish kind of sacrificial thing, something that he blames them for because they didn't see the signs of his mental illness and stop him from harming himself. Seems a bit unfair, one might say. What could they do any more than he could have done? But it's time for the host of this party to pull up.
Welcome, Hellraisers.
There he is. And if you know this man's cinema history, he's either a very good guy or a very bad guy. And based on the music and his intro, which one do you think it is?
I take it this is your first time at a Hellworld party. Invitations.
Oh my god. Absolutely bulletproof, infallible, ironclad ticket system there, my friend. He takes them into his office and shows them around, gives them a drink of rum, lets them look through their card.
This is where the shit hits the fan, guys.
And as a group, they quickly realize he's an aficionado. He has memorabilia of all sorts, and they are enraptured.
This place is all skin and bones. I love it.
I see you all have a fondness for the macabre.
Stop. For my British viewers, that will be known to you as macabre.
Macabre. Macabre.
A distinction people couldn't seem to make on one of my previous videos. Apparently I'm pronouncing it wrong. No, you fuck. Different countries pronounce things differently.
The American pronunciation, however, is as Macabre.
Needless to say, the group are enraptured by this man. Oh, what an interesting character. And he wants to show them more of the mansion, bringing them all the way down to the basement, inspired by fucking Saw, I guess, where he's dropping just totally obvious tongue-in-cheek references to the nightmares that they're all probably about to face.
Only she wasn't all there. You might say she went to pieces.
Bro might as well be giggling and kicking his feet while he's saying that shit, I swear. But he brings him into this basement area, specifically like a collector's examination room, where the more disturbing of his collection resides. Specimens, samples, grotesque obscurities, all bottled and caged. And while some are disturbed, Chelsea, our emerging protagonist, she ain't buying it.
The props are cool, but this is just an old house.
This greatly upsets the host, who in an act of revenge shanks the fucking girl.
It's just a game.
Thirsting for something more. Not about pain.
And in this hellish vision, Pinhead is revealed.
Adam was right.
As far as Pinhead reveals go, it's very anticlimactic. Normally he appears in the most dramatic of ways. He's a horrific force that you want nothing to do with, and yet here he just turns up claiming Adam, the guy who died at the beginning, was right.
Adam was right.
So who are the Cenobites? For anyone who's not sure, the Cenobites were once humans who, through their exploration of pain and suffering, come to serve this like hellish god called the Leviathan, and they're like torturers. They get summoned in through things like the lament configuration, and if you solve it, you get fucked up by them basically.
The box. You opened it. We came.
They're obsessed with pain, and they think that pain is the way to reach like the highest planes of existence. So here, him just being a little bit of a mouthy bitch about Adam, kind of disappointing. But they ain't about to let one dartboard looking motherfucker ruin a good vibe. So they grab their party masks and head to the bar to get a little bit of a sesh going. And when Cavill finds himself alone with Chelsea, he takes the opportunity to hit on her. And when that fails, he drops some great advice for her.
I see. So how long has it been now? 2 years? You're still holding a torch for a guy who you're never gonna get a second chance with. He's dead, Chelsea. Move on.
You know what, Mike? Have a great time tonight. But when you sober up, I expect an apology.
Well, that went well.
Bro's like, what did I do? Is there a time of the month? Women, am I right?
Whoa, hey baby. You know what would look good on you? Me.
Enjoy the party, asshole.
Now, this scene would normally invoke my ire on account of cringe, but Catherine Winnick in real life has a black belt and has founded 3 different Taekwondo schools in real life. So, I'll let that one slide. For the sake of my own jaw, I'll let that one slide. While all this nonsense is going on, Alison is upstairs exploring the mansion when she comes across a big door saying, "Keep out."
Yeah, right.
Of course, she's British, and she can't keep her grubby fucking hands off of an artifact, so she sneaks into the room where she encounters a penis?
How's it hanging?
No, this chair. And in spite of looking like an ancient torture device, she thinks it's a good idea to sit in it. And would you believe, it wasn't a good idea.
The sacrifice is quite becoming. It's been used to drain the blood of Hellworld explorers. Since Leviathan himself first spoke the realm into being.
Oh, well, would you believe it? Shock twist to no one, he's evil. He wants these kids dead. For what reason, we don't know yet. But he set up this device and trapped the girl in it, and he even gets the blades a spinning by pulling out the pin.
It's perfectly safe. Unless the cutting blades are engaged. Cutting blades are engaged.
She she has the safety pin and decides not to put it back in. I don't really know why. I mean, it's a temporary solution, I get that, but it would save her skin for a little bit. But anyway, the blades retract and they basically finish her off. It is pretty gruesome, actually. It's an interesting creative decision because it's really far detached from any of the Cenobite behavior we know up to this point. If anything, it's more akin to a saw trap, right? The Cenobites use powerful demonic tools to torture people to no end. This is a spinning blade, it's rudimentary, it's human, but what his connection is to the actual Cenobites, it's not clear, although there is a lot of bizarre visuals as she's taking her final breaths.
You believe Adam now?
Again, the repeating of the word Adam, and Pinhead appearing more as almost a background character to this torture. Perhaps you could argue that the reason he's not directly involved is because they didn't open the box, and that's a fair criticism. He can only hurt you if you invite them in, whether that's consciously or not. The hypothesis I had by this point was that perhaps finishing the game virtually and opening the box in the MMORPG was like a fucking fine print detail that let them get around it, that they had all technically opened it by playing that game.
Come on, open it!
I'm trying.
While all this is happening, the lads are downstairs having the time of their lives, with both having found prospective partners. Derek has found a nice young lass to grind up on the dance floor, while Mike manages to pick up a girl with possibly the worst pickup line I've ever heard.
I'd love to see your puzzle box. Wanna dance?
But sadly, the good times don't last forever for the blokes. Derek, being the fucking pussy he is, he has an asthma attack while just bumping and grinding on the dance floor. Open mouth coughing like a child, before struggling to get his inhaler out and dropping it down a fucking vent.
No! No!
Brother, that shit's just embarrassing. You're a grown-ass man. All you were doing was having a little boogie, alright? Grow up. Not to mention the fact that when he grabs it from the vent holes are so small that he had to almost fucking slap that shit down like he was crushing a nice sandwich to make it fit through the bars. That's all on this dickhead. But as he's stumbling down to the basement to look for his inhaler, Cavill is getting, for lack of a better term, demonic sloppy toppy.
What's the matter?
Brother, if you had told me that was a scene from Scary Movie, I genuinely believe you. But there was one really interesting scene there, a spliced segment just a few seconds long, where he's trapped in some kind of a container, there's some kind of a tube. We don't know what this means, but these little details are spliced in throughout the movie. These weird visions that the group is having, and you should try to pay attention to them. Entering the basement, Ezekiel finds his inhaler on the cusp of passing out, and he takes a few puffs of the good. Then he stretches out on the gurney, relieved to have made it before something really bad happens. And while he's lying out, Pinhead picks up an axe, comes along, and just yeets that man's head clean off. What's interesting about this scene is that it goes completely against everything that the Cenobites as a whole stand for. They are all about longing out the pain. They believe that pain is the way to a higher plane. They are consummate professionals when it comes to torture, and part of that is making sure that it lasts for a long, painful time. They would not kill someone quickly. It doesn't make sense. So by this point, you might start to think, well, something is afoot here. Something weird is happening because either the scriptwriters have never watched a Hellraiser movie, which is possible, or they know something we don't. Only time shall tell. For the next 15 to 20 minutes of this film, there's a subplot where Jake, he goes and shags a nun up in the loft. There's nothing more to add to that. She lures him up, they go upstairs, she gets fully naked, they bump pisses. It adds nothing. There's no scares. She's never mentioned again in the whole movie. It bears no impact on the story or plot. It is the most shoehorn sex scene in just for the sake of it. And I appreciate that there's the debauchery aspect of it, a nun is supposed to be celibate. He's kind of taking that, he's sodomizing that. Well, I hope not. He's abusing the sanctity of being a nun. So I understand it from that perspective, but in terms of what it adds to the plot or why it happens, nothing. While this is going on, Chelsea is trapped in a room. This is just a fact. She's trapped in a room. She can't get out. But she manages to use her phone to call the police. And they turn up a few minutes later. And when they turn up, the host is basically like, you know, women. They tend to get a bit too drunk and make a bit of a scene. And initially, I thought the cops were just going to be like, boy, do I know.
I'm entertaining some guests here tonight.
Sounded whacked out of her gourd.
But during this scene, something else really interesting actually happens.
I'm at the big house now. Where are you?
I'm upstairs by the window just above the veranda.
I'm looking up at the window right now. I don't see a damn thing.
What the fuck are you talking about? I'm right here, look!
He can't see her despite her being right in the front window. It's probably one of the best moments maybe in the entire film because it's actually a bit of a head fuck, you know? How can that be happening? Are they in different realities? Has she been sucked into this game? What is going on? They leave without doing even so much as a search, thinking that she's just a cuckoo lady off a rocker. And while this is happening, it's Henry Cavill's turn to get down and dirty. Quite literally, if his reaction is anything to go off.
I believe you owe me one. Come on, stud. It's your turn to go down.
They toss each other about, and by they, I mean she flings Henry Cavill about like he is a piece of meat up and down the hallways straight to the basement before tossing him into the same room that his body died in just moments earlier. To be honest, for a second, I genuinely thought she'd like pull off her face and be a Cenobite, which would mean Henry Cavill's character literally did get a head from a Cenobite. I was looking forward to that scene so much. It didn't happen, sadly, but it does raise the question as to who the fuck this lady is. But while Henry Cavill is down there looking at all the stuff, he quickly discovers the body of his friend, which he doesn't think is real. He thinks it's another prop to scare him.
Of course. Latex. Even put it in Derek's clothes.
And sadly, this spells the end for our beloved Cavill.
Not good.
And once again, this demonic level entity is relying on Hitman style environmental kills to take down their victims. It doesn't make sense. But let's stop and take a closer look at this Cenobite because I don't really recognize him from the other movies. I could be wrong, it's been a long time since I've watched a lot of them, but I think he's a really cool Cenobite. And I feel like he kind of plays into the themes and roles of this movie. It's all centered around their friend Adam who died. They kind of let him down, let him get obsessed and slowly deteriorate with his game. And this guy, he's blindfolded, he can't speak. To me, it represents the hear no evil, see no evil kind of biblical statement in that they're guilty by their negligence, which is kind of what I feel like this Cenobite is displaying.
Not good.
But while Mike is dying, Chelsea dashes out the front of the house and tries to run through the forest where she encounters one of the police officers from earlier who left, thought maybe something was up, so he parked up the road and was walking back through the forest to investigate when he ran into Chelsea. That makes sense.
There's something strange happening in that house. Something terrible happened to my friends. You've got to believe me.
I believe you, Chelsea. This isn't the first time I've had to come out here. There's something about that house.
But he's quickly dispatched in the first real display of paranormal power from Pinhead.
I'm at the old house.
Still don't understand, do you? There is no way out for you, Chelsea. Oh, what wonders we have to show you.
Rushing back to the mansion, it's now totally empty. The guests are all gone and only the two remain. And for Chelsea, things go from bad to worse.
That better be you, Mike.
Not this time, Chelsea. Great party, huh?
Rushing upstairs to safety, Chelsea gets a call from Jake, and in spite of all the horrors that she's just been through, she's still composed enough to context dump all of the potential plot holes the writers were not skilled enough to convey throughout the movie.
Could this place be a portal? I mean, to the real Hellworld.
Somebody wants us to believe that, that's for sure. I'm not buying it.
I mean, where's the engineers? Where are the jailers?
Now, Pinhead is just supposed to show up and take your soul away, that's it. It's not adding up.
Maybe we're already dead.
It's just awful writing, isn't it? Like, they might as well look at the camera and just answer a list of fucking FAQs that the like test viewers had for things that didn't make sense.
We knew what Hellworld was doing to Adam, but we kept on playing it.
That was nobody's fault.
A few more bits and pieces happen, nothing too important, but while Chelsea's waiting, she hears a voice from her dead lover, Adam, from beneath the floorboards. And like a fucking idiot, she decides to reach her hand in to see what it is, only to get grabbed by a demon Cenobite motherfucker. But fear not, because Jake rushes out with a new revelation, one he uncovered by a series of Sherlock deductive flashbacks.
Whatever it is, don't believe it, it's not real! It's all in your head! It's whatever you're afraid of! Don't be afraid! No, you have to believe me! It's not happening! Chelsea, it's not real!
Turns out they've been caught by fucking Scarecrow from Batman. It's not real. It's all a drug making their fears come true.
This whole Hellworld thing has been one big trap. We've been brought here for some reason, I don't know why, but...
So, does that mean Jake's greatest fear of all time is clapping a nun's cheeks in an attic? But when the two meet up, we get the real twist.
Jake. It's Adam's dad.
What?
It's Adam's dad, Jake.
The host is Adam's dad, and he's seeking revenge against the teens for his son's death, which, if you ask me, and I've watched this movie multiple times now, is still extreme as fuck. He's an absent father. These kids couldn't stop him from murking himself. They didn't push him, they didn't convince him, they didn't encourage him. Bringing them all together and spending potentially millions on the mansion, the party, the fucking MMORPG collaboration he somehow set up, all of that to get revenge on his mentally ill son's friends that didn't save his life. It doesn't make any fucking sense. But the two of them rush out and he tries to stand in their way, only to get murked by Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Goodbye, asshole.
That shit is hilarious, but the hits just won't stop. Rushing outside, he's already there, waiting. And moving just a few feet away, they discover 5 shallow graves with pipes sticking out.
What is it, Jake?
This is where the final piece of the puzzle is revealed.
Hellworld never really even existed. It was in your mind the whole time. Even this very moment. You and your friends have been 6 feet under since this party began. Sulimamitol is a drug that induces a highly impressionable, trance-like euphoria. It can be taken in every which way you can imagine.
It was all in the head, literally. And look, I'll criticize a movie or a game all day long for the things it does wrong, but I think you need to praise things when they do it right. And this twist, on its own merit, it was actually decent. And not only that, but it was quite well seeded throughout the course of the movie. And if it had ended there, it would have actually been a great twist.
It was all so exhausting. I barely had enough energy to go back and enjoy myself at the party. I figured, why not? Why not enjoy myself?
What an utterly bizarre and needlessly defensive addendum to add there. No one's saying you couldn't go back to the party. What does that have to do with anything? He's like, yeah, so what, I went back to the party. So what, I crushed a few beers and smashed a bit of poon. I hosted it. Yeah, no one's saying you shouldn't have gone back to the party, bro. They're saying you shouldn't have buried the kids alive.
Derek's asthma took him out. And Mike, he died of good old-fashioned drop-dead fear.
But the host gets exactly what he wants. The other 4 have taken their own lives through delirium, and Jake and Chelsea are trapped, buried alive with no hope of rescue. Oh, would you look at that? They were rescued by the police, found at the last minute, days later. How did they survive? It is a miracle. Or is it?
Sorry to say the house owner cleared out a few days ago. Covered his tracks pretty good, too.
But then how'd you find us? Who made the call?
Traced the signal right to this very spot. Damnedest thing. We'd have never have found you. Your cell phone was found up at the house. Maybe the owner made the call, but I doubt it.
What the fuck is even that? Why is there a friendly ghost in the window calling the police to save a dead person? And you wouldn't even mind that. But the whole plot twist is that there was nothing paranormal the entire time. And that twist is ruined because they're like, well, how the fuck do we save the main characters, right? They have to call up a ghost. It ruins a good plot twist and just shits all over it with that bizarre fucking ghost in window that she's able to tip the hat to, you know, farewell on the boat edge. It's so stupid. And it doesn't even end there. It just keeps on getting worse and worse, because after that scene, it hard cuts to the host sat in a hotel bed where he pulls out the real lament configuration out of nowhere, opens it and summons the real Cenobites, who then kill him.
Welcome to hell. How's that for a wake-up call?
Again, it just destroys the whole premise of, oh, these people, you know, they had an affinity for torture and pain and that horror game. So when he gave them drugs, their interests fed into the nastiness of their delusions or their delirium. That's a cool twist. But when he made the Cenobites real in the last few minutes, it just fucking ruins it all. And then it hard cuts to the two of them driving off into the sunset, and his ghost appears in the back, tries to crash the car and fails. And that's the end of the movie. And now the obvious question is, why did they decide to make the Cenobites real at all? And I think the obvious answer is because if they didn't do that, a lot of people would be saying, well, this isn't a Hellraiser movie at all. It's just a horror movie with Hellraiser stapled on in the last minute. And that's a fair assumption. That is literally what it is. This originally started off as a totally separate script by a horror writer. And when it was pitched, the producers here said, yes, you could make that, as long as you put a bit of fucking Cenobite pizzazz on there, it's all yours. So it was a different script, and the Cenobites were just shoehorned into the end there. And it ruins what could have been an otherwise decent twist. Oh my God. I feel like I've barely breathed in the last like 20 minutes recording this, because I'm so passionate about how much of a fucking botched job they've done with what could have been quite a good premise. In the end, all the good work, all the goodwill it had attained by that twist is just shit on by not only the dad being an absolute fucking nutjob, because why did he have to punish these kids to such an extreme extent when he was an absentee father who also failed his son? He should have himself buried too. That would be a better twist. But then just giving up on the whole, it was a drug thing and this is a real world type beat, and just making it, oh, well, they do exist too. Shits on it. Maybe I'm being too harsh. I just think I'm more disappointed because of how good it could have been at the end if they had doubled down on what they were going for instead of pussyfooting or pussying out of it and giving us this half in between bullshit. But let me know what you thought. It is an interesting one. I had a lot of fun making this, and I'm curious to know what you think. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.